Hey everyone, my name is Zvi Band. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Contactually. Thank you so much for joining me. If someone is listening, if you wouldn't mind posting a comment, I should be able to see comments on the right-hand side. You may have seen, this is the first time I've done a live video from the Facebook app, so we'll see how this works. Normally I'm using some weird, crazy technology that someone sets up for us. So you should be able to hear me. I tried sharing my screen just now, but apparently that just caused everything to panic and go wild. But we should be all set and ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it another minute or so while we're waiting for anyone else to show up. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Contactually. This is not a product pitch, don't worry. I really don't love selling my product. I'm not a hard sell person. I believe in providing value in some way. And of course, if you see this is valuable, maybe you'll check out Contactually or something else. But really, obviously ask any questions whatsoever that you have. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to take a few minutes today, probably around 15 minutes or so, to talk about just some general topics around the act of relationship building. And I wish you were actually able to see some of my really cool cool screens, but we're just going to have to deal with that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The core idea behind Contactually, and what I would love to talk to you about today, is our relationships are our most important asset. That's why all of us are here. That's why all of us know that the success that we see is really in our sphere over the long term. And so I'm really hoping that, of course, that you definitely see that value. Now, the challenge is that there are so many different types of people. There's so many people out there in the market. How do we stand out, right? It's kind of scary when you think, around 1970 or so, there are around maybe 100,000 realtors in the U.S. And between 1970 and today, we've gone from 100,000 licensed realtors to now around 1.2 million. So there's been this huge explosion, and making sure that you stand out and making sure that you're the right person becomes a bigger and bigger issue. So let's talk about kind of a few key topics. First off, I'm going to throw out a few high numbers, and please tell me if you can connect this with anything. So if I were to tell you 150, what would that mean? Well, there are 150 million leads generated in the real estate industry every year, which is terrifying. If I were to tell you 7.5 million, what would that mean to you? 7.5 million sides are completed each year. That means there's 7.5 million transactions, but 150 million leads. So theoretically, if you do the math, on average, every transaction has been a lead 20 times up until then. And we know that information used to be a big competitive advantage. That's gone away. Information used to be that competitive advantage that we had, right? I think I still remember when my parents were shopping that our realtor would fax them MLS listings. Now, of course, we can go online and see everything that's available. So information is no longer a competitive advantage. Skill used to be a competitive advantage. But we know, again, the number of licensed realtors has exploded over the past 30 years. So it's really hard to be the person that stands out. So what are we left with? The last thing we're left with, if the information gap is gone and the skill gap is gone, what's left for us is the reputation gap. So how do we handle that? Well, we know that, and this is something that we definitely subscribe by. If you only had one more dollar to put towards marketing, you should be spending that on preaching to your own choir. And the challenge is, well, I know I want to preach to this choir. I know I want to focus on my sphere instead of these brand new internet leads. What do I do? And for most people, it's left as a resolution, right? We have this idea that we want to build and maintain better relationships, but we keep that as honestly nothing more than a New Year's resolution. And we know resolutions are meaningless. I'm still that sucker that still sets new resolutions at the beginning of every year, thinking what I'm going to change. And we know what happens on January 1st when we wake up after setting those resolutions, right? We've got the big hangover. We're kind of full. We just want to take a nap. We're not necessarily jumping right into action, or if we are, it tapers off. And so what we're trying to talk to you today about is that resolutions are meaningless. The only thing that wins is having a strategic plan. And what I'm going to lay out for you is what we call is the capital strategy to help you build and maintain those relationships, to make sure that you're staying in touch with the right people. So let's jump into it. So capital, each letter stands for a different part of the overall strategy. So starting at the top, C. C is for consistency. So I think that's probably, we lead off with consistency because I think consistency is the one thing that more than anything else, people get left behind. We have this idea that of course we're going to focus on what's most important for our business. And therefore, we're going to always be thinking every moment about the most important actions. And of course, we're going to be staying in touch with our sphere every day. Of course, we're going to be doing that follow-up. Of course, we're going to be adding value. But in truth, we know that we fall victim to what's urgent. I fall victim to what's urgent, even looking at my task list today. And so what we say is the thing that you should be focusing on up front is how can I be more consistent in my actions, regardless of all the craziness that may happen over the period of a year. How do I make sure that I am focusing on what is absolutely most important for what I could be doing? I love the Aristotle quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And so there are a few tricks that you can do. Number one, you can try associating. So there's a thing called tiny habits. Before I do X action, I will follow up my network. So before I check my email, I will send one message to someone who I don't normally. The second hack is the calendar block. I'm a huge fan of calendar blocking. If you were to look at my calendar, even honestly like 6 months out, I have all these different blocks of time for what I do at different points of the day. Setting recurring calendar appointments, like that hour of power of when you're going to dive in, that's important. Now, of course, with consistency, we know that you have this idea of what you want to be doing, but you're going to fall off the wagon, right? How many times have we set a resolution to, yes, I'm going to go to the gym today, and then all of a sudden it becomes, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, and then 2 weeks goes by, and 3 weeks goes by. And so what we're saying, it's completely okay to fall off the wagon, right? We sometimes kind of feel that guilt and shame, and that guilt and shame about, like, for example, not going to the gym will then make us kind of skip entirely. And so we're saying, no, screw that. If you feel you fell off the wagon, admit it, pat yourself on the back, but then pick it back up, right? The best thing you could be doing is going in today and doing one thing. A is for aggregate. Now, the capital strategy is about the steps necessary to build and maintain your relationships. And so the first actionable step we say is aggregate. Now, most CRM solutions or most databases, you tend to think that, oh, no, I only put like business relevant contacts. We actually argue the opposite. Your database should honestly be, given that it's your database, not your company's database, it should be as much of a reflection of the people that you have in your head as possible. So that means, obviously, yes, you could use a tool like Contactually, but honestly, I say maybe start with an Excel spreadsheet. The best CRM is the one that actually works for you. So really think about it, right? Your database should reflect reality, which is messy. You have lots of fragments of contact and different pieces of information, but I'd rather have all that fragmented information in one place than nothing at all. Now, why is it important that we have everything there? Well, the next step in the capital strategy, the P, is for prioritize. So once we have everyone in the pool, once we have all of our relationships, we know that people have varying levels of importance, right? We've got our pawns, we've got our kings, we've got our queens, we've got our top VIPs, our A's and B's and C's, our past clients, top clients, whatever you want to call them. You can set this up however you want. But really what you should be doing is you should take that entire database of people, thinking about, okay, of all these people, what are the goals I'm trying to achieve? And then who are the types of people that can help me achieve those goals? And then you prioritize those relationships. You don't want to necessarily go like person by person by person and decide, are they important, are they not, are they important, are they not? Instead, you should be thinking about creating these categories or buckets of people that are the most relevant. Because otherwise, the way that you set up your database or the way that you set up your sphere may not necessarily be the best thing. You may end up with, for example, a huge bucket of past clients. Well, which past clients do I focus on? Well, instead, if you thought about, well, one of the big things I want to do is I want to get more referrals. How do I get more referrals? I stay in touch with the key past clients that have been proven to send me business already. Then you're creating a bucket just of those top past clients, and you can let everyone else go away or be at a lower priority bucket. And of course, priority may change, right? It's not just all or nothing, right? You may have, a few of your rock stars or legends. Then you have a few more of champions, and then you have a lot more of, like, let's say stars, and then like hundreds and hundreds of players. That's completely okay. What you want to make sure is you're prioritizing top down on the few people that are most important for you, and then as they get less and less valuable, then you can have more people. This lets you focus on the most valuable, but not forget everyone else at the bottom. The next part of the capital strategy is intelligence. What do you know about the people you know? Now, in order to build and maintain a relationship, right, one of those things that we naturally do among our friends and family is we just know things, right? And we find that knowing things and repeating those things that we know about them, like those inside jokes, those make a huge impact on our ability to build and maintain rapport, even with our friends and family. And so we should be looking for those social objects, those small little things and nuggets about them. That's really powerful. One of the things I love to do is I love small talk. Small talk is, normally you skip it over, your brain's half dead because they're talking about the weather or what their kids are doing this weekend or traffic on the way there. But I actually use that as an opening to identify more information about them, right? One of our new employees today shared that it was her son's 5-year-old birthday. And normally you're like, all right, whatever, kid's birthday, who cares? But I asked, like, hey, how many kids do you have, right? What did you do for your birthday? Why is this the first birthday party that you've done for him, right? Ask these like small little personal questions, and they can end up going a long, long way. So you always want to focus on the 4 points, right? The state of your relationship, the state of their business, and the notes and next steps from that interaction. And of course, don't forget any personal details. We're halfway through the capital strategy. The T in capital is for timely engagement. Figuring out when you should reach out, this is one of the questions that we keep getting. And there is no right answer. What matters is, are you reaching out at all? We always say that, in terms of being timely, maybe at least or sometimes at most, following up once a quarter might be fine, or once a year. It doesn't necessarily matter whether it's, depending, like, obviously for like hot leads or active buyers or active sellers or just closed clients, yeah, you of course want to be able to spend a little more time on that. But beyond that, keeping in touch with everyone, even like once every 6 months might be effective enough. And we also say, like, don't just do what's expected, right? Don't be that person that just sends out the holiday card or just sends out, a Happy New Year's message or just reminds you to change clocks forward or backwards. Do what's unexpected, right? Maybe you're the person that on Cinco de Mayo or National Pancake Day, you do a big pancake breakfast or something, right? You're the type of person that, you wish them, happy holiday on the most random holidays, or you wish everyone happy Valentine's Day, and throw something cute and special in. That's okay, right? because the next step in the capital strategy is adding value. And remember, even saying hello, we're social creatures. So even you saying hello to me, even you pressing like or posting a comment, that can be really valuable. So don't hesitate, just saying hello. A lot of people shy away from it. I say do the opposite, right? Don't freak out. Don't kind of avoid talking to them entirely because you don't know what to say. Just simply check in. Just say, hey, I care about you. I just want to know like what the latest in your life is. Now, every interaction really should be meaningful, relevant, or valuable. And that hello, right, it is meaningful, it is relevant, and it is valuable in some way. You can also deliver value by showing that you know them. So again, that we talked about intelligence earlier. Just showing that you know and understand who they are, that can really be a valuable experience. You can also deliver value by solving problems, understanding what they're trying to achieve, and then making sure that you are able to answer that. It might be an introduction, it might be a local recommendation. They say, yeah, their kid is turning 4 and they're not necessarily sure what to buy him. You can be the person that polls your friends and comes up with gifts. There are many different ways that you can add value by solving actual problems for them. You can also deliver value by making connections, by introducing two people together that you might think are interesting. I just did that today with 2 of our bigger customers. Turned out they didn't know each other, and I was able to broker an introduction. And that is adding value because now I'm the broker of that relationship. I'm the hub. You could also deliver value via an experience, right? Give them something unforgettable, right? Even like a coffee meeting, that is still some type of experience, but you can level up from there, right? Rent out a movie theater for a showing of a movie. Throw a birthday party. I have one of our customers. He threw a big dinner in the middle of Times Square for a select few people. Right? And that's a crazy type of experience. So think about those things. The last part of capital is leverage. Now, leverage is really important because, in order for you to act consistently, remember the C in capital, you want to have enough leverage to make the C as easy as possible. You want to be as consistent with your actions. And so you want to make your actions as easy to do as possible. And that's by giving yourself leverage. So for example, if you know that there's a certain email that you send more often than not, like just checking in, congratulations on your home closing, job change, etc., maybe that should be an email template, right? And if that email template can shave the amount of time you spend writing an email from 5 minutes to 1, you win. Right? That's 4 minutes of your life that you get back times 300 over the course of the year, and we're talking a real impact in your life. Or maybe you set up a program, right? You could set up like a drip marketing campaign or something else where okay, I'm automatically going to program my spreadsheet, CRM, database, marketing automation system, whatever, to 30 days after an open house, send an open house follow-up message. Or 2 days after closing, remind me to buy them flowers, right? You can think of all these small little things that you're able to do that really give you leverage. And so there's this developer mantra that if you have to do anything twice, then the first time you're actually going to program it so you don't have to do it the second time, right? So you want to think like, how can I be as lazy as possible while still getting the job done? The last thing is, consider hiring a virtual assistant. I honestly have survived mainly by having a really strong virtual assistant or 2 virtual assistants for the past 3 years. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can hire someone out for $10 or $15 an hour, and what that does is that gives you that leverage. So instead of you having to do the actions or do the phone calls yourself, you can just give that playbook to a virtual assistant and have them do it for you. Again, we've gone over the capital strategy. So C is for consistency, A is for aggregate, P is for prioritize, I is for intelligence, T is for timely engagement, A is for adding value, and L is for leverage. There's so many different things that you can do. But I really remember, you think that you should be talking about your relationships are your most important asset. And if they are, then you should be spending every marketing dollar, or at least your first marketing dollar and your first resource and your first action of the day to preach to your inquirer. It shouldn't be a resolution. It should be a strategy. And finally, again, leading into the C in capital, you should be able to execute consistently. Please don't hesitate to drop me an email or send me any questions or concerns, whatever I can do to be helpful. I will post my information in the Mobile Mondays page. And other than that, we kept it short and sweet, and have an awesome, awesome Monday.